Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me see if I can get this a little more in frame here. This, my friends, is what 48 cards looks like. And this is what we've been working on in the big project. I came up with the idea of doing summer cards for a couple of reasons. First of all, when I do Christmas cards at the end of the year, and I tend to send out about 50 of them, I put a Christmas letter in with it. David and I, my husband David and I, have been doing a lot of traveling, and the Christmas letter ends up being about those travels. And that means that the other major project that we always have going on here, which is the garden, kind of gets pushed to the side. We were gone in June last year, and David had been doing a lot of work to organize how things are planted out in the garden and where they're at. But we weren't here to watch the daylilies bloom. So I did Happy Spring cards. I did not do Mother's Day and Father's Day cards this year. So I decided I would do the summer cards so that I could highlight the garden. And so the pictures of the flowers that you see in this, these are all flowers that are out in the garden. All of these daylilies have names. I don't know what they are. I appreciate the color and the way they look, and I think it's fascinating to see how they come up from the ground, and then they have those long buds, and then the buds pop open, and they only last a day. But it's been really wonderful this year, and I'm glad that hopefully you have watched the videos, and it's allowed me to blend in what I've been doing with card making. Okay, so let's kind of just recap really quickly. We started out by doing ink blending, which is just taking some kind of a distress ink or any of the inks that you can find out there in an ink pad and some kind of a blending brush, taking a 4 by 5¼ background and rubbing it on there to put the color on. This we've used on all the cards, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and these are A2 size cards, which are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, they will all get a personal letter on the inside that talks about what we're doing in the same way that a Christmas letter does, and there'll be some kind of a message on this side. Okay, so we have, and now I'm not counting these out, guys, because I don't do math. All right, so we did this design, which is the outside with the slightly bigger letters, and that's going to need a little bit of glue. I should probably do that right now, because otherwise, okay. I didn't intend that to happen. All right, and then the other design we did, as I said when I put the project checklist out at the very beginning, was to kind of decide on, first of all, how much work you wanted to do, and then what kind of a design you wanted to use, and to pick a color palette. So this was the other design we came up with. This allowed me to use 2 pictures on each card. I really fell in love with this image. It's got the sundial and the flowers blooming around it, and then I picked out a particular flower, in particular this one, because it was a yellow background. And then the same design could be turned landscape style instead of portrait. I cut all my letters out using my silhouette. We kind of played with the silhouette a little bit. Okay, so we had those. And then after we had done a bunch of those backgrounds, I decided to try out a background stamp. And one of the ways that we did the background was that we used watercolors. And working with the watercolors and the background stamp didn't work quite as well as I would have liked it. So there are 3 of those, I believe. Yep. And again, I used the 2-picture method on here. And these with the pinkish flowers, I thought really kind of came out nice. But because I didn't really like the way the background stamp was working, I did some ink blending and then tried the background stamp again. I felt like it came out a little better. There were still some spots like here where it didn't work all the way through. I used a couple of, I used the bigger design in this one, and in this one turned it sideways simply because that was the way the picture went. Okay, so that was in another separate video. Once we had gotten into the ink blending, I decided that I would try a stencil, and I kind of rigged a big pad up when you look at that one, and you'll see that that way I was able to put just the light color in the back and then lay the stencil on it and go over it with a darker color to kind of create this design around the inside. And I made quite a few of those, it looks like. Some with the big, a couple with the one, it's not a couple, just one, with the two flower images. Okay. This one I did at the tail end of this, where I had realized that the only thing I hadn't done was die cut, and much of what I do with die cutting just really didn't fit with this process. This is something I could have done with die cutting if I had had those dies, but that would have been cranking it like what, 50, 80 times, I don't know. That would have taken a long time. So I did that using the silhouette. But this was a nested die that just kind of die cut the impression of the little cross stitches in. And this is something that, like, I could take a little teeny tiny black pen and go through and color all those in, but I'm not going to do that. But I could. I think it looks just fine the way it is. Okay, I saved this for last because this, to me, this turned out to be the best part of everything that I did. This was using color cardstock and then an embossing folder to create this image, and then rubbing over the embossed side with an ink pad. I'll set that one aside and fix it. I can pull that white out, I think, and it looks like that happened on a couple of them, so maybe I'm just going to leave it the same way. But anyway, this created a design that I think was the classiest. It was the it felt to me like it was the most creative. If I had stumbled across this first, I probably would have done all of the cards this way. I enjoyed finding the flowers that gave me the images that I felt like really brought these out. So this to me was the highlight of what we did. So who gets them? These, I don't know. I guess I could say I go through and I pick out my favorite people. But I would probably tend to send these to people that I don't think are going to get to come and see the garden in person. But if I had to go through and pick my favorite out of all of these, it would be this. This is referred to as a tone-on-tone technique. And yeah, I really liked that. All right, these, I don't even remember if I did a video where I did these. These came from, both of these techniques came from my daughter-in-law, Marcy, who is the Cranky Crafter here on YouTube. She's a YouTube content creator, and she does amazing work with watercolors, which is what these little images are. And she works in a style that's called whimsy, which is different from what I do. She has a tendency to work in a color palette that's different from what I do. But she is responsible, when she first started doing her YouTube channel recently, she's responsible for getting me back into my art journal, which I really, really, really appreciate, because I'm having a good time doing that. And getting back into the art journal has also helped me get back into writing. And the writing, as I get my writing skills back, I'll be moving into the big genealogy project that I need to finish before I get done doing things. But these are a little different. These are images that she taught me how to, like, just actually draw these by hand, which the one thing I always said when I was working in this originally was that I can't draw. So these are fun. These two I was really impressed with, and these are the ones that I used the Q-tip and the acrylic paint, and I piled the little dots on side, and I'm just really proud of having drawn that. This is something that I will come back to. I would make other cards where I do these kinds of images and these kinds of techniques. Okay. So, as I said, 48 cards. And hopefully these will be going out in the mail soon. If you are watching this video and you got one of these cards, you can look back through the videos and find me actually making the card. If you do go to the YouTube channel, well, obviously, if you're seeing this, you're on the YouTube channel. I would really appreciate if you would click on that subscribe button. You won't get anything in the mail. You won't get a text. You won't get, it doesn't cost you any money. You won't start getting emails. But what that does is it pushes this out to, when the algorithm, because I put tags in, so that if someone is searching by simple card making or mass card making, that this will be one of the videos that will come up. In all of my videos, there is a link to Operation Gratitude. That is the organization I donate to. They send cards in packages so that deployed servicemen and women can write home to their families. I talked with a friend recently and mentioned that I did Operation Gratitude. And he got very quiet and almost brought me to tears and said that when he was young, because he's closer to my age now, he was on a ship out in the ocean away from the shore in active duty. And actually he landed airplanes on aircraft carriers out in the water. And that looks like one of the scariest things, short of being on the front lines. It just, I mean, that was like, I couldn't believe he could do that, or that they can do that. But anyway, he talked about how when these packages come, anything that's in them feels to them like they get to touch home. And that makes a tremendous difference. These Operation Gratitude's cards, I also crochet scarves that I send to them. If you are into anything like that, you can look at their donation page. You can even, I don't, but you can even like go to the dollar store and buy packs of playing cards. They have a list of the things that they need and what the parameters are. And but the packages go to the deployed service people. They also go to first responders. Anything else, they go to veterans' homes. So they're really good at making sure that everything they get goes to someone who would have something that they wouldn't have otherwise. And that's really the big reason that I donate to them. They are not the only organization out there. They are just the organization that I've chosen. Thank you very much for staying with the big project and watching me make all of these cards. I hope that, and I trust that the people who get them, I know they appreciate them, and I know they enjoy receiving them. And if you are interested in card making, I would suggest that you just like get you some cardstock and some pattern paper and a pair of scissors, and just start cutting stuff up and slapping it on there. It's a great hobby, and it's something that people do enjoy. Again, thank you for being here with me, and keep checking back.